I'm Ed Amoroso from Tag Cyber, and I'm here with my friend Elon Kaplan, who's the CEO of Cytegic. Welcome to New York City for our
Thank you
discussion.
very much.
Hey, we're talking about cyber risk management, and one of the components of cyber risk management involves intelligence, threat intelligence, risk intelligence from different sources.
Yes.
How does a platform developer go about creating that, and how do security teams go about using that sort of thing? Help us understand.
Well, maybe the biggest question that everybody needs to put on the table is, what does it matter to me? The fact that I'm reading another PDF about something that happened on the other side of the globe, should I address it at all? And the second thing is, to what extent? How do I quantify it? Because it's very tedious, and sometimes it's even increasing the liability just to get bombarded with PDFs. I'm sure that somewhere in page 47 down below there is a line saying something that maybe I misnoticed, and I'm just more liable because of it. So the question with intelligence is relevance, quantifiable, and actionable. But let's start from the beginning. I'm afraid that in our world, not everybody speaks English. And some of the bad actors are not necessarily like the aliens in Hollywood movies, speak English in Brooklyn accent. No. So you have to read Russian and Arabic and Farsi and Portuguese and every other language that the bad actors are using. And you need to look at events in a variety of sources in order to make some sense out of it. So let's break it down to 4 different components.
Okay.
Component number 1, to interface with the right sources. Right sources could be open source, it could be third party, it could be covert sources, your private sources, but you need to be flexible and to address all of these sources in every format, by the way. They could be in RSS and tweets and JSON and some free text and whatever. You can't expect the world to feed you, but you can interface with everything.
Right, I agree.
Then you need to sanitize it because, well, in some of the sources you have advertisements, you have irrelevant data. You need to really sanitize the data end to end to focus on the real essence of it. But then, how do I quantify it? And this is where we need to use cutting-edge semantic engines. And we can't use just off-the-shelf semantic engine. They need to address our need in cyber risk. So they need to talk about attackers and attack methods on assets in geographies, business sectors. So this is the one component of the magic that makes it actionable, quantifying it. But then comes the really important heavy lifting part. We need to create some forward-looking intelligence. Not enough to look backwards. There have been the days where we drove the car looking in the rear mirror, not anymore. Using some statistical predictive analytics, we can generate trends and patterns, looking at the behavior of attackers over the place. So, to put it all in a nutshell, we need to have the right sources, just be source agnostic and language agnostic, to focus on what is really meaningful, and to quantify in a way that makes sense.
You know, the issue of sanitization and focusing on what's meaningful, easier said than done, right? I mean, is it possible that in that step, I could be losing a lot of data if I do that wrong? I mean, that's a harder thing to do than I think it is to just say, right? How do you determine how to sanitize data that's coming in?
This is critical. Now, the thing is, there are 2 approaches to intelligence. One is trying to look for that specific article telling me that tomorrow morning there are 2 guys going to try and steal some credit cards from a retailer. These pieces of information are hardly available. What we are looking is at strategic level intelligence as to the behaviors of trends. Like we are able to identify ransomware about 5 months before anybody talked about it or before WannaCry.
Wow.
So to identify patterns and behaviors over time is more important than losing 1 or 2 articles. So this is the difference in approaches. If what you're looking is for that specific nugget somewhere in the dark web, yes, you're right. I should never lose a single piece of data.
Mm-hmm.
It means that I need cohorts of people reading everything there is. But it's not scalable.
Yeah.
But on the other side, if I'm looking at what is going to hit me tomorrow morning, I can identify it by behavior of attackers over different parts of the world. And what was attacking guys in my vicinity, in my geography. By the way, we identified in this approach that some attack methods are tried in one part of the world before they are deployed in another. Like in the forest, we could find traces of attacks that then exploded in the United States. So on one side, we need to look at the global perspective. On the other side, how do we carve out of it what really matters to me? And this is where the AI come to play.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need to have the system that is understanding what your specific business is. And if you are a small bank in the Midwest, you're not exactly a manufacturer in Mexico. You have different assets. You have different motivations of attackers to attack you with different objectives. So you need an AI that carves out of this quantified data only the part that is relevant to you. And now it becomes actionable. Now we can ask ourselves questions like, what should I be prepared for?
These are all capabilities in the Semantic platform, I would presume.
Yes, and this is why we call it the automated cyber risk officer. It's not like we are trying to automate the world and take the job out of people. On the contrary.
ACRO, ACRO.
Yes. We are now helping our dear partners, dear colleagues, to do their job correctly and to focus on making educated decisions and to focus on the human perspective of prioritization. But now we can talk data rather than gut feeling.
Makes sense. So the tip for security teams would be in doing cyber risk management or in selecting a platform, make sure to look carefully at the threat management methodology, the ingest approach, and whether they can speak a lot of different languages.
Yes, please. And quantify it. Look at the numbers.
Very good advice. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. And we'll see you next time.